I have recently had an awakening with regards to self-care, and I wanted to share it because it might help you too. I love to find new strategies to make life better, and better again if I can share and help somebody else. I've been frustrated by my hectic lifestyle for a long time, and I know I'm a busy person and I like to be busy. However, there's been busy, and on the other hand, there's been hectic. There is that saying that if you want to get something done, ask a busy person, and that tends to be me. So as a result, I don't seem to have any time for self-care. And I grew envious of people that were able to make time for self-care, and I wonder how they achieve that. You know, it is difficult to find time when you're juggling everyday life. My life was probably at its busiest about 4 years ago when my dad was dying. Obviously through heartbreak, I was still juggling my full-time job, poor health, my family, running my dad's company, managing his estate, facing him losing his cancer battle and the grief that followed. So I faced burnout. So I have to ask myself, what's my excuse now? But I realise that every year of our lives is a busy year, and we keep putting something on when we take something else off. So is it as simple as procrastination? I wonder. I listened to a TED talk recently about self-care by Susanna Joy Winters, and she said that there is a myth that self-care was about spa days and Prosecco and pedicures, but it's not. These things are wonderful, but they're not actually restoring us. She asked the question, what is self-care and how can we practice it? Self-care is deliberately taking care of our well-being through restorative acts. One of the greatest threats to our well-being is physical and emotional stress, what we put into our bodies, on our bodies, and the thoughts in our head. She got me thinking, what do I actually do for self-care? You know, I love clothes, dressing up. That's always helped me to forget sadness, to relieve my anxiety, and to mask my scars. It brings me joy, but it's not self-care. I don't actually do anything for self-care. Why is this? What are the barriers for me? And I thought about this for a while. Is it mother's guilt? Is it working mother's guilt? Is it lack of time, expectations? Is it procrastination, judgment? Or is it just a problem with prioritization? What is it? Or am I afraid of what I'll hear myself think if I was silent? This makes me feel overwhelmed because I know that I need to invest in self-care. But what do I take off my list in order to put self-care on? So I made it my mission that for 1 week I would become aware of what I was doing with my time. I went on, I suppose, a bit of a fact-finding mission, and I noticed that I'd make the time to arrive at my daughter's school 15 minutes before collection, but I wouldn't have 15 minutes for myself. But when I took the 15 minutes to get parking, I decided to close my eyes and snooze for those 15 minutes instead of checking emails or making calls or paying bills or scrolling on my phone. And it was actual bliss. And I began to realise that it's about making healthier choices about the time that we have, however little of that we have. I also noticed that while I'm brilliant at writing lists and to-do lists for work, I'm absolutely useless at writing them for my personal life. I now sit at night for 5 minutes before I turn on the TV and write a list of things that I want to achieve for the next day. I actually went a step further and put my list into categories, which made it even more achievable. What I must do, what I'd like to do, and what I'd love to get done. And this helps me, I suppose, to reassure myself that I'm in control, but also that tomorrow is another day, that what I've on my list is achievable and I can see it. And I think I stopped being at war with myself, forcing myself to get it all done. And if I didn't, I'd beat myself up about it. I'd ask myself, I'm not lazy, why can't I achieve it all? And I realised that I spend most of my day meeting the needs of others. I'm also spending too much time cleaning and organising my home, almost punishing myself for having a full-time job, one that I actually need. I'd fallen victim to being busy, and I needed to admit and accept that before I could move forward. I've stopped being hard on myself. I do work full-time. I am a mum of 2. I'm a wife. I'm a friend. I have a lifelong illness which affects my energy levels, and I'm only human. It's only when I say this out loud that I realise I wouldn't speak to a friend the way I speak to myself. And when I see written down what I've achieved in a day, I'm more aware of all that I've achieved in a day. And I strongly recommend this exercise. Stop being our own worst enemy. And they say that gratitude is the antidote to anxiety and stress. and I'm trying to tell myself and remind myself of all the things that I'm grateful for. The major obstacle for me was that I was in denial as to what to do for self-care. I was absolutely clueless. I'm so aware that every time I go for a hospital checkup, they remind me to make a better effort with my self-care and to slow my pace down. I make such a big effort with the house and job, family and friends, my image, but I totally neglect my inner self. You know, she is exhausted. She's crying out for help. I need to stop and just do it. It's about showing up for yourself every day. Just imagine what would be possible if we did that, making well-being an essential part of our lives. This is something that was emphasized or highlighted even more in the pandemic. This is exactly what Susanna Joy Winters was getting at in her TED Talk, stepping away from denial. And she encourages 3 restorative activities each day. 1, moment of stillness and silence. This can be just sitting comfortably in your chair, in the car or the bath, meditation if you can, or just sitting with yourself, calming the outside and inside voices, bringing awareness to our thoughts. The second is to increase movement, even if it's just 10 minutes every day. And the third one was to take time in nature. So basically getting our asses outside. Sleep is so important. Everything looks better after a good night's sleep. Sleep is normally the first thing that goes for me when I'm stressed. I can go to sleep no problem, but I wake up after a couple of hours, and falling back to sleep after waking is a huge challenge. I start to think, I start to run to-do lists in my head, I scroll on my phone, begin to miss my dad, I get upset, then I get up and do something to distract myself. And again, I'm busy. I now accept that this is the opposite of what I actually should do. It's about small, actionable steps. And I listened to a podcast recently by Arianna Huffington, and she spoke about micro steps, steps that are too small to fail. I think that's brilliant. You know, simplifying the steps to what you can achieve, so that if your action or goal is to remove your phone from your bedroom, for example, so that you don't go on it when you wake up, then remove it for a week. If this isn't achievable, move it away for one night. If this isn't achievable, move it to the other side of your bedroom, away from your nightstand. Micro steps. She also mentions a daily ritual of taking 60 seconds for yourself before you do anything. So set your intention for the day, to reconnect with yourself before the world comes at you, being present with yourself. In that 60 seconds, you're reminding yourself of all that you are grateful for. And finally, I suppose I'm also doing a self-care course with for the month of May with the fabulous Dr. Clodagh at the Wellness Psychologist. And this is a great investment for me because there is accountability. She encouraged us to take time out and meditate, starting with 1 minute and then building it. Setting challenges for us, like, do something that you need to do and do something that you'd love to do. She encouraged us to do a 5-minute self-care reflection diary or notebook. If our goals don't work out, consider the why instead of putting energy into being hard on ourselves. Reflect on how we could do things differently to achieve our goals the next time around. Maybe simplify the goal, like Arianna Huffington advises with her micro steps. So in summary, it's not about the big plans and spending lots of time and lots of money. It's actually free. It's about stopping for short periods of time and doing absolutely nothing. All of this has really helped me to achieve self-care because it explained what it is to me. It's given me strategies. It's made me analyze my own time and made me think about what excuses I make to myself. I discovered how I waste time as well, and as a result,